Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear brothers, and the message that he sent, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I am currently residing here in South Africa and I feel as if I am stuck and I don't know if I should return back home, because whenever I think about returning back home, I know that one by one, the oath that I did when I was standing at the altar of the devil, I dedicated my entire family to that altar. And since I failed to keep the rules of that covenant, one by one, they are all going to die. My story, when it started, I was someone who was considered a prayer warrior. I used to lead the praise and worship, but the problem, I think that a lot of churches, they are having a lot of these problems, and some people, they are suffering because of this problems that are being created by most of the Pentecostal churches. The Pentecostal church that I grew up in, they only considered you to be someone who is blessed if you were able to show your blessings material wise. So in our church, what they would say is that as a man, you were not allowed to wear the same suit over and over again. Let's say that this Sunday, when you wear a black suit, the following Sunday, if you wear maybe a blue suit, then the following Sunday, you are not supposed to wear that other black suit of yours. You have to have as many suits as possible, such that people will forget how many suits that you have. If you were unable to do that, this showed that you were not being blessed by God. So we were always under a lot of pressure. And as for me and my other guys that we were in the same praise and worship team with, we were always struggling to make ends meet, because we were always chasing to buy the next suit. And as for me, I didn't have a lot of money, so I was always wearing the same suit over and over again. And I wanted to prove a point to the church, to show them that even God could actually bless a man like me. Then it came time when I started to notice that this is what the church elders will do. Whenever there will be a guest pastor that will be coming from a church which is maybe in the rich neighborhoods, then they will tell me that on that particular big Sunday, I was not allowed to be the praise and worship leader. They will make me to sit in the benches with the other regular ordinary church members. But when it was an ordinary Sunday, then they will tell me that today, brother, you have to be the one to lead us into worshiping God. So this started to affect me. I felt like I was not valued by the church elders. I then set out to prove a point to them. I wanted to show them that God has finally done it for me. I then went to this other old man who was from Malawi. This man, he was quite a funny man because of the way that he spoke. This man, ever since he had came to Zim, he had never returned back to his country. This man, when he would speak with you in our language in Shona, you could actually laugh because it was like broken Shona. But when I entered into his consultation room, this was like the first time ever visiting a traditional healer, and this made me to feel really guilty. But anyway, I then said, do not try to be a comedian. This man, indeed, he has a funny accent because of his broken Shona, but do not laugh at him, otherwise he will refuse to assist you. This man, he then started to assist me. He then took out this other black counter book, and he said that he wanted to write my name, and this is the way that he operates. The moment that you get into his consultation room, after paying the consultation fee, what he will do is that he will take that big black counter book, he will write your name, and this book, it was full of names of people who had come to him for money-making rituals. So he will write your name, your surname, and what you want from him and what the oracle would have said about you. He said that I do this so that in the future, if it ever happens that blood is needed, you need to sacrifice, then you cannot come back to me and claim that I forced you into doing this. Am I forcing you, young men, to do this? Am I forcing you to be in a covenant with my shrine? And I said, no, uncle, you are not forcing me at all. Even if you want me to sacrifice my mother right now, I am willing to do so. This man, he then looked at me after he had spoken with this oracle, and I saw that there was so much sadness in his eyes, and he was shaking his head as if he was disagreeing with his ancestors. I asked him what had the oracle said, what was required from me so that I can please his ancestors, so that they can give me great wealth. I wanted quick money. The man then looked at me and he said that I feel so sad for you young men, and you are not going to pay for my services to you, because the oracle has told me what your covenant is all about, what are the rules and the regulations. And for the first time in my life, and he said that this was like the first time the oracle ever giving him these strict regulations for a covenant. I said, oh dear uncle, please tell me, for I am willing to do whatever. He said, are you sure? And I said, I am ready. I was born ready, my brother. Then that man gave me a piece of paper and he said, I want you to write the names of all the people that you want to be sacrificed, just in case. So I wrote my relatives' names, including my mom and my siblings, and I handed the paper back to him. He said, you have forgotten one thing. I said, what? Whom have I forgotten to write? He said, I want you to write your wife's name. I looked at him with doubt and I said, oh uncle, I do not even have a wife. Why are you forcing me to write the name of a woman that I have not yet met? Because at that time I was single. I was still single and searching. The man then said, I want you to write Yvonne. Yvonne is the name that you are going to be writing. I said, who is Yvonne? I do not know any woman that is called Yvonne. I am not married, dear uncle. He said, don't you know that the woman that you are going to get married to, her name is Yvonne. She is going to become your wife. So please be quick and let's finish these rituals. Write a name on this piece of paper. So I then wrote down that name, Yvonne, and after that he then made me to sign. So I signed, and after I had put my signature, he said, no, I do not want this type of signature. You know, those usual signatures that we use when we are signing documents. He said that is not an original signature. He said your original signature that can be recognized in the spiritual realm is when you put down your name, your surname, as well as your totem or your clan name. That is what is recognized in the spiritual realm. So I did that, and he said that if anything bad will ever happen to you, know that I never forced you. Did I force you, young man? And I said, no, uncle, I am the one who came to your consultation room. After I had done signing this contract, then the traditional healer from Malawi told me that what was required from me so that I can start to make a lot of money. There was this other church elder from that same church that I was attending. He said, I want you to go and buy a knife. And after buying that knife, I want you to stab this elder. I want you to kill him, not spiritually, but physically, for this is what the oracle requires from you so that you can be given great wealth. After you have murdered him, said that I want you to remove his intestines. I don't care even if you remove a small piece. Just a piece of his intestines is going to be okay. After that, I want you to cut off one of his fingers, and then I want you to remove his tongue, for the tongue is very important. And after that, I want you to remove his eyes. This you have to do whilst his body is still warm. So soon after murdering him, I want you to harvest his body parts and bring them here to me. Then this traditional healer explained everything. He said that the reason as to why I was supposed to cut off his tongue, if he will ever wake up from the dead, when his spirit will wake up seeking revenge, then when they consult, if the traditional healer will try to speak with the spirit of this church elder that I had been given a task to murder him, the spirit won't be able to speak, because I would have cut off the tongue of that church elder soon after murdering him. Then as for the eyes, the traditional healer said that the eyes, I have no purpose for them, but I am just doing this as a security measure. So after murdering him, when you remove his eyes, then he will be left in the dark, when you remove his eyes, then you will be trapped in a world of darkness. You will never be able to trace you for the rest of your life. If you do this, if you murder this man, if you harvest his body parts, then all the wealth in this world, it can become yours. You will do whatever that you want with the money that you are going to be given by my ancestors. Are you willing to do this? And I said, yes. He looked at me. I saw that there was still sadness in his eyes, because he said, this is the first time that the oracle has requested something that is like this. He said that from the days that he started to operate as a traditional healer, his ancestors had never asked anyone to kill another person physically. Yes, he had killed people using spiritual ways and bewitching people, but physically he had never been instructed to tell his clients to murder someone physically. That is why he was looking at me with such sadness written all over his eyes, because of my age and the responsibility that was placed on my shoulders. So at church during the week, we used to have these midweek services whereby at night, after everyone would have knocked off from work, we will meet at church. It's either for a prayer session or for a Bible study. So this elder from our church, he stayed very close to where our church was at, and he always encouraged everyone to exercise regularly, to walk for about 30 minutes a day. So this was like a perfect opportunity, because by the time that we will go to church, it will already be dark. Then what I will do is that I will just follow him behind. I had this other jacket that I had bought, those jackets that have a hoodie, and I'll be wearing it in such a way that no one will be able to recognize me. It was an oversized jacket with a hoodie. So underneath this jacket, I'll be holding that big knife that I had bought. It almost looked like a hunting knife. So when you stab someone with that kind of a knife, and when you pull it out, it will leave a lot of internal injuries. But what surprised me, my brother, is that yes, the opportunity will regularly present itself whereby I'll be able to stab this church elder and drag him into one of the ditches so that I can start to harvest his body parts. But each and every time when I will try to walk very fast so that I can stab him from his back area and then stab him straight into the stomach after he would have turned around. But my brother, whenever I would try to do that, out of nowhere, there was always this man that will just appear from nowhere. At the moment when I'll be about to run so that I can stab this church elder, that is when this strange man will just appear from nowhere, and the man will start to walk side by side with this old man. And this church elder, when I would look at him to observe if he knew this man that will be walking besides him, what will surprise me is that he will keep on walking, not even realizing that there is another person that would have jumped in front of him and walking besides him as if he was protecting him. Each and every Sunday when we will be at church, I'll go with that knife, but this knife, what I'll do is that I will place it on my stomach area, then I will tie my belt such that it won't fall down. Then there was this other Sunday when an opportunity presented itself to me. I saw the church elder leaving the church and going into the bathroom, and I followed him. I followed him into the bathroom, and when I got into the bathroom, I found him. He was urinating. He spoke with me, and then I just pretended as if I was also urinating. This was like the perfect opportunity for me to stab him, but I could not find that knife that I had. I could not find the weapon, my brother, and I felt a terrible fear that got hold of me. That is when I decided to let it go because I was feeling dizzy. I pretended as if I wanted to relieve myself. So I entered into one of the toilets and I locked myself up until that old man, the church elder, had left the bathroom. I was confused. The fear that got hold of me on that day, it was quite a terrible one. My brother, I trembled with fear. I was shaking and I was confused as to where this knife had gone to, because I knew that I had this knife, but all of a sudden it had disappeared. So from there on, I decided to let it go, and I almost forgot about it. Then I came here to South Africa. When I came here to South Africa, that was when I got married, and you won't even believe it, because I got married to a woman who went by the name Yvonne. And by the time that the COVID came, the coronavirus came, she then started to complain, and she told me that she kept on feeling as if there was someone who had placed a heavy rock on her chest. She got so sick. At first I thought that it was flu. I then took her to the hospital. Unfortunately, I was told that she had the COVID virus, and then she passed away. After my wife had passed away, my mom one day, she was busy in the fields. Then what I was told was that my mom said that when she was walking from the fields, she felt that her chest was heavy, just like what my late wife had told me. And as she was walking, my mom said that she saw a stone, as if this stone was thrown from the heavens. This stone came and it hit her on the chest and she collapsed. By the time that she came back to the compound, people said that she was struggling to breathe and to walk. She passed away, and she kept on complaining that there was a heavy stone that had been placed on her chest. My brother, I have lost people that I loved the most because of this covenant that I did with the devil. Now I am actually telling myself that maybe I need to gather the strength so that I can murder this elder so as to save my own relatives. This is my own story, Brother Nashi. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother. Strange things do happen in this world. Just imagine that you go to do these money-making rituals. You are told that you have to murder your church elder, the old man from your church. But whenever you follow him behind late at night, when you try to attack him, you see that suddenly there will be a man that will just appear from nowhere, and you are the only man. You are the only one who can see that man that will be accompanying this church elder. And when you try to murder him at church in the bathroom, then the knife disappears, and you feel dizzy, and you just feel this terrible fear. What will you do next? But after that, blood is still needed. Then your mother dies, your relatives, they start to die, and now you think about going back so that you can just finish the job. If it was you in this situation, what will you do? Strange things do happen in this world. Yo.